What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Michael Borky, and I'm going to try this again. In lieu of the live stream tonight, the usual Thursday live stream, the keys to the game did so well last week, I figured we'll try it again. If it doesn't go as well, we'll go back to a Thursday live stream. But we're going to do this on Thursdays if they keep doing as well as last week's did. If you're not familiar with who I am, my name is Michael Borky. I'm on Sports Talk Mississippi, a radio show here in Mississippi. Just got home from doing that radio show, actually giving you three keys to Mississippi State LSU. If Mississippi State's going to win, here are the three keys for that win. And we'll turn the page to Ole Miss and Georgia Tech. Three keys for that one. Feels like different kind of conversation going into these games. Mississippi State being 9.5 point underdog. Ole Miss being a 3-touchdown favorite. But still, three keys for each game, starting with Mississippi State. But please, before we get into that, subscribe to the channel. Like the video, click the notification bell. I do live streams on here a few times a week. So hopefully if you're new here, you will join me for those. Number one, though, key for Mississippi State, if they're going to beat LSU, they have to be explosive. It's been the talking point all week. We talked a lot about it today on the show, and it was pointed out to me earlier, and for good reason as well. Kevin Barbay, when he was at Appalachian State last year, didn't approach games the same every week, which is what a good coordinator does. And it was pointed out that when he took Appalachian State, his offense anyway, into College Station last year, they really slowed things down and ran the football and just were very deliberate, played keep away essentially from Texas A&M, and it worked, and they won the game. Shout out Jimbo Fisher for that one. But that doesn't mean what happened last weekend doesn't mean that that's going to be Mississippi State in perpetuity, but still they have to be explosive. You have to drop the conservatism. 61% of the time in the first two games combined, Mississippi State has run the football, and most of the passes have been within 7 yards of the line of scrimmage. I told you guys, I believe on Tuesday, that only 4 of Will Rogers' passes last week traveled further than 7 yards in the air. LSU, at least from what we saw in the Florida State game. Now, I don't think Mississippi State quite has what Florida State has at wide receiver, but still, we saw that LSU can be a little bit vulnerable in the defensive secondary. You have to test that. If Mississippi State approaches this game in any similarity to the way they approached Arizona, they're going to lose. If Will Rogers is reluctant to test LSU vertically, Mississippi State is going to lose. They have to be explosive, have to drop the conservatism. I made the joke earlier this week on the show that Will Rogers and Mississippi State so far have been as conservative as Matt Walsh making documentaries. Okay, they're the Daily Wire of the SEC so far. You've got to loosen up a little bit. You've got to try to be explosive in this game, or LSU's defensive front is going to feast on you. You cannot let them stack 8, 9 guys in the box and really go off if you're not willing to test them vertically. Number 2 is contain Daniels. Talked about it last week with Jaden DeLora. They picked him off 4 times, but DeLora was able to escape the pocket, throw the football down the field, and make explosive plays. He made mistakes as well. Mississippi State deserves credit for forcing him into those mistakes, but he showed escapability, and he showed that he was able to make big plays. Now, Daniels and DeLora are different quarterbacks. I think Daniels is more willing to just kind of take off and run and take the green grass in front of him. He's not going to take or make, I should say, as many stupid mistakes. I don't expect 4 interceptions this week like you got last week. He's a better version, honestly. This offense is a better version of the one you saw last week. If you don't contain Daniels, if you don't keep him in the pocket, if you don't block running lanes, if you're not good with possibly a spy or however they want to defend this, he's going to eat. He is going to carve up this defense because this is a better version, different, but similar to what you saw last week. And State's defense did give up explosive plays last week. You have to keep him within the pocket. You cannot let him improvise. If he does, he will beat you. Contain him, keep him, make him beat you with his arm throwing from the pocket. If he does that, then he does that. But letting him beat you with his legs is too easy for him. And number 3, win with something other than offense. So you've got to get big special teams plays, whether game, and Mississippi State is very good in the return game with Griffin. You're going to need something big from him. It doesn't necessarily need to be a touchdown, but get a big return, especially early. Get some momentum. Have a good punting game where you're able to flip the field and force LSU to have really long drives as opposed to short fields. You have to win the special teams battle. You have to win the kicking battle. You have to win the return game. I think Mississippi State, if they want to stay in and win this game, they're going to have a big play from something other than their offense. Maybe it's even a defensive touchdown. I mean, we saw a special teams touchdown and a defensive touchdown last year that beat Texas A&M. Something like that's going to happen, I think, for Mississippi State if they're going to win this game starting on Saturday morning. Anyway, so be explosive, drop the conservatisms, number one. Number two, contain Daniels, keep him within the pocket, make him beat you exclusively with his arm, and win with something other than offense. Have big plays come from somewhere other than your offense. Win the special teams battle, have a big return, something like that. If they do those things, they will have a chance to beat LSU on Saturday. Turning the page to Oxford. The free space is the offensive line. So I want to start with this, actually. We'll get to the offensive line in a second. Avoid a letdown. They just played a road game, kind of emotional. They had to come back after the half. And these are humans, okay? These are adults. They're not football playing robots. They are human beings. I said they're adults. They're 18 to 23 years old. They know what comes next. They know that it's a trip to Tuscaloosa after this game. They know that they are better roster-wise than Georgia Tech. They're at home. They're a big favorite, and Alabama is looming. Avoid the letdown. They're going to have to find a way to maybe not create their own energy because it's going to be a sold-out Vaught Hemingway on Saturday. If not sold out, very, very close. Probably going to be a really good crowd with really nice weather if that's something that you care about. But avoid the letdown. I know Alabama's coming. You're going to have to play well and play focused football because this is not last year's Georgia Tech team. They can beat you. They can if you play poorly. I don't think they can if they come out focused, ready to play, locked into this game and not looking ahead to Alabama. It's a difficult ask because, again, these are human beings, but that is still something that is important this week. So that is it's kind of a bonus one. Number one, of course, control the line of scrimmage. It's been a talking point all week. It'll continue to be a talking point after this game. It'll still be a talking point going in to Alabama. And it's twofold. It's not just running the football. Everybody's hyper-focused on the run game and Quinshon Judkins. They've got to protect better as well. Jackson Dart was really good against Tulane despite being under duress for basically the entire game. At least that's what it felt like. They need to be better. They need to protect better, and they need to run the football better. And I'm curious to see how they feel like they can do that. Do they think that they are better than the way they played last week? I know Micah Pettis is better than the way he played last week. You saw it against better teams. Now, it's a question, why it looked so poor, but still, they can be better. But do they think that it's something as simple as, increased communication, maybe some motivation or lack of effort involved, maybe a tweak here or there, and they can keep doing what they were doing? Or do they feel like they have to make sweeping adjustments? Is there something schematically that they have to change dramatically? Are they going to have to implement a short passing game more so because they don't feel like they can protect Dart? Are they going to have to move Judkins around because you cannot have a guy that talented and not force feed him the football in some way? And if it's not working with your basic running game, do you get him out in space? Do you implement jet sweeps? That kind of stuff. How are they going to approach alleviating issues on the offensive line? What is that going to look like? Do they believe in themselves? If they do, are they successful? If they don't, what does that look like? And again, are they successful? Georgia Tech will not present the challenge that Alabama, LSU, and Arkansas will in the weeks following. So it has to look better, and I'm curious to see how they decide to try to make it look better. Number two, get the tight ends involved in the offense. It sounds like Prescorn is still a week or so away from returning, but you have to get Michael Trigg involved a little bit in this offense to make it go. You have to get Heath involved in this offense to really open it up and make it go. And you might need them to come inside and also help you blocking as well. Michael Trigg just can't be a pass catcher right now. He's got to do other things with Caden Prescorn being on the sideline at least for another week. This offense really goes, we talk about it all the time, with a capable tight end. They don't even need great. They just need capable. And so getting those guys more involved, Michael Trigg looked really locked in last week and had a catch, and it was a very important catch in a heady play on not just Dart's part, but his part as well. Can he be more reliable? Can you depend on him? Can you bring him inside and he knows assignments and block? And can he be a reliable pass catcher and be in the right places? This is a good opportunity for him to show that he can with Alabama and LSU and Arkansas looming. And number three, continue to be disruptive defensively. I don't know what they found last week. I'm not smart enough to sit here and break down the film and tell you all kinds of stuff like that, X's and O's. That's for the coaches to figure out. But there was something that happened in the second half of that Tulane game where they were a lot more disruptive. I noticed that they brought Jared Ivey down inside a little bit, and that helped. But Ivy, Ukwu, Pegues, those guys, can they continue to be disruptive without bringing additional help? If they can do that, Cedric Johnson needs to also be involved in this conversation as well. Without having to bring extra pressure, that's obviously breaking news, more to 11. This is why I get paid the big bucks in statewide talk radio, everybody. Being disruptive on the defensive line helps you win football games. But what I'm saying is if they can do that without having to bring additional pressure, without having to bring linebackers, without having to force pressure, if they can do it with their front four like they were able to a lot, and they did bring blitzers as well. You don't go vanilla, of course. But if they're able to do that again this week, they might have something there. I don't think this defense is going to be great, but they looked better last week. Is that who they are, or was that an anomaly? We will find out. Can they be disruptive defensively with just the front four? They were able to a lot last week. Are they able to do that again? That would be a good sign as the games get more difficult. So for Ole Miss, be locked in. Free space is controlling the line of scrimmage, getting the tight ends more involved, and continuing to be disruptive with just your front four, and they will win the game and cover that large spread. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Subscribe to the video, like the channel, and I'll talk to you on the live stream Sunday night, 8 o'clock, 7:45, 8 o'clock Sunday night. I will see you then. Enjoy your football, and I'll see you guys on Sunday. Y'all have a